Hello and welcome to the Powerful Personal Brand Podcast. I am your host, Claire Bahn, and on today's episode, I am very excited to be joined by Tim Berney. Tim is the CEO of VI Marketing and Branding, an integrated agency known for creating campaigns that drive measurable, behavior-changing results. A seasoned branding expert, Tim has grown VI into a nationally recognized firm, helping businesses scale through strategic innovation and insight-driven creativity. His expertise spans brand strategy, market ROI, performance optimization, and team leadership. Tim, thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. Well, so I would love to get you. So you have a great deal of experience, and you're CEO of your own agent of your agency. And what are some biggest lessons you've learned during your time doing marketing and branding? And how can those principles be applied to building a personal brand?
I feel like a brand is a brand for the most part, and I know we're gonna talk about the difference. Authenticity and being true to it and consistent with it, no matter what it is, not just in marketing, but certainly in brand support. I think is the most important thing.
Hmm.
Um, People still choose brands. People buy brands, and I don't think that that's different, whether it's personal or a consumer brand. And so in sort of the Amazon age, I think that performance marketing sort of discounts the brand,
Mm.
but we still find that brand support makes all of our performance campaigns more successful.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So
I'm
it's always
still a
important to look
believer.
at the kind of the numbers and to be authentic, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, if you can't say you're one thing and be another and build a
Yeah.
brand, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. So, what would you say are the biggest differences between a corporate company brand and maybe the CEO or just startup founder? Like, what are the differences that you see?
I think that a corporate brand is a bit more rigid, if you will, in the way that we go about developing it, building it, and supporting it. Um, the brand attributes of a corporate brand or a consumer brand, they sort of are what they are, and
Mm,
you've got to accentuate the positive and sort of downplay what's not so desirable, if you will.
mhm,
um, and the same would be true for, on the flip side, is that there's a particular personality that you can decide upon when communicating for a corporate brand. For a personal brand, you sort of are what you are. um, my personality is what it is. I might be able to turn it up here a little bit. In full disclosure, my PR person always says to have a glass of wine before I come on these things to get it out of me a little bit. But but in a personal brand, we don't get to really decide, I think, so much as what our personality is. And in a corporate brand, we do.
yeah.
In a personal brand, we get to decide which attributes of our brand we really want to put forward, and which ones we want to keep in the background, which
Hmm.
I do. In a corporate brand, those attributes all come forward because you are what you are, and you
Yeah.
can't hide things
Right.
on that side.
Okay. So I have another question for you. This is totally different from personal branding. We may be able to kind of blend
Please.
personal branding into it, but I would love to get your feedback on the most coveted age range for the longest time was 18 to 34 for marketing. So what everyone always talked about. I've seen things saying that this is changing. I'd like to get your input on that. Do you think that it's changing?
Well, to some extent, and especially the last couple of years, I certainly think that it is. What's the K? That the higher earners, the higher
Mm,
wealthy people are still spending, and so that's who we should be marketing
yeah.
to. And the lower income, unless you're a value brand, maybe aren't getting targeted as much. 18 to 34 for a lot of or a lot of brands is a great demographic.
Maybe for
QSR, quick
Target or
service
something like
restaurants.
that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's where the volume of or the quantity of sales come from, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where all the profit is. I think that
Okay.
the profit's always sort of been in the more higher end luxury goods, which is the 45, 60,
Okay.
64 group.
So
So,
has it changed, or are
um,
people now, instead of talking about that one demographic, they're talking about all of them?
so let's don't overlook the fact that we're in the digital age and all
Yeah.
that, and that Gen Z is the biggest user of digital platforms and the largest consumer online.
Hmm.
So a lot of what we see, hear, and read, I think, refers to the digital ecosystem,
Okay.
which we shouldn't overlook because it's about 2/3 of what it is. But that's not necessarily where the profit is.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's changed, but it's changed because of consumer habits.
Mhm.
But again, that's if competition drives prices down, and if that's where all the competition is, then that's not where the profit is either.
Yeah.
So I look at it more from from an ROI standpoint than I do totally from a marketing standpoint.
Right.
This
That
point
makes
in,
sense.
in my career.
Yeah. So, okay. So you basically said 2/3 of the people online are Gen Z. So we're talking about, older millennials, because right outside of that, there's not many left in that 34
Yeah.
bracket. I'm looking at, it's like 29 to 44 now. So you're like, woo, they're like skewing out of that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you have your older millennials, your X, and your boomers. So they're if 2/3 are Gen Z, what about the other people? There's is why is there resistance? And like, if like something about going online is holding people back from building their brand, do you have any advice for that?
I think that's a misnomer. So
Okay.
I'm going to say again that I think people still buy brands.
Okay.
But what influences brand trust is different than what it is in sort of traditional branding. So if I'm on Amazon and I'm searching for a product, and I see something that I don't recognize the brand, but it has some attributes or whatever that are attractive to me. What's going to influence my perception of that brand today
Mhm.
are the ratings and the reviews versus you know what I might have seen on television for 3 weeks straight before it that position that brand in my mind. So people are making quicker judgments about brands based on online reactions and reviews and things like that. But that still influences a perception of a brand. It's just
Mhm.
getting influenced in a different manner. Same thing as if I might not even get to that point if one of those products pops up that I definitely recognize that brand name
Mhm.
and it has a positive impression in my mind. I may not even go to number two or three or four and do the whole review process. So how people are influenced in their own minds about the quality of a brand or the value of a brand is different online,
Well,
but it doesn't mean that
if you
offline is
have a
irrelevant.
so say you have a CEO who refuses to go online, and then
Hmm.
you have this two companies. They're exactly the same, Coke and
Hmm.
Pepsi.
Yeah,
Literally not
right.
exactly the same. You have flavor profiles, but say they were very, very similar. And one is online. He's very transparent. He's very charismatic, and the other one is like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm silent.
Hmm.
I don't want my picture out there. How do you think that affects the brand and how they're viewed, ratings, things like that? One's very transparent and out there, charismatic. The other one's invisible.
Okay. I think this matters more for a B2B brand than it does for a packaged goods
You do.
brand
Okay.
for sure. But I feel like as CEO, it's my responsibility to be online, to represent our brand in thought leadership, and to communicate our values and what it is that we stand for.
Hmm.
I think that's just sort of modern day marketing. And if somebody, especially in the B2B marketplace, if somebody is looking to hire a company, they're going to search the company and they're going to look at the website, but they're going to do a search and see what pops up,
Mhm.
and presumably my name's going to pop up for my company, or they're going to search for me as well. So it is my job to have a personal brand that can be searched um, online. The ideal situation would be that they heard me speak somewhere and they didn't even go online, and they were like, "That guy's really smart. We should hire them."
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but that's that's not really what happens too often.
Yeah. Oh,
Um, so
it's interesting because I hadn't really 'cause I feel like you are right. I feel like definitely in the B2B space, I think that it's important, and I hadn't didn't really kind of think of it that way, but you are right. I do see that, absolutely. But do you think it affect I mean, consumer brands, it also affects I actually just did a video about, like, Elon Musk. People were
yeah,
like, "I don't like what he's saying. I mean, I live in California. I can't even tell you how many times I saw the sticker on the back of cars going
yeah,
like, I can't remember what it said, but it's basically like, "Don't don't hurt my car because I got this before Elon
yeah,
went crazy," or something. I was like, "What?"
right.
Yeah, but so it does it can also affect consumer brands too.
It it for no, it for sure can, and Elon may be truly representing his brand, but I think that just really would be poor marketing strategy or poor brand
Mhm.
strategy on the part of Tesla or Elon. And maybe if Tesla's marketing team could get him to shut up, or it would be better. But I if there's a strategy, the strategy would be you don't talk about politics, and you're
Yeah.
neutral on things,
Or you
and
expect the fallout.
you
You
yeah,
expect there to be, like, because obviously if you put your there's always gonna be people that don't agree. So,
right.
yeah, if you kind of stay
But
silent.
I'd rather them, if I'm Tesla, I'd rather them disagree on the validity of EVs,
Yeah.
or of space exploration or whatever, than on Doge,
Mhm.
or whatever. He can be
Yeah.
involved in whatever he wants, but I don't think that should be part of his brand. I
Yeah.
You know what? I'm really, really handy in the kitchen. I'm a pretty good cook. That's
Okay.
not part of my personal brand. That's part of my brand with my family and my friends
Yeah.
and all that. But that brings no value to the market
Well,
place.
I don't necessarily agree with that
Okay.
because I've can sometimes bring up stuff like that. I know that my team kind of encourages a personal side. So sometimes people want to get to know a person. Like, are they
Hmm.
real? Are they because if you're too perfect, if you're too curated, sometimes that's also slightly a red flag. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
I get it. Um, uh,
And it's
perf- per-
authentic. If you showed yourself cooking, you're like,
perfect's out of the question. Perfect's out of the question. I'll talk a little bit about being a wino,
yeah.
or some things like that. But and it's not that something, I wouldn't use an analogy or something in something for business,
Mhm.
but no one cares about my Caesar salad recipe in my newsletter.
Okay.
I might reference that and say that a good campaign is like a
A
you
Caesar
know
salad?
yeah. I don't know how, but well, give me a minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Alright.
um, but I do keep some of my personal habits, or even what you might want to call brand attributes, on the personal branding side, but not so much uh, on the commercial brand, or the
Yeah.
in my case,
Well,
B to
I think
B to B
that's
brand. So
ultimately, I think it's someone's preference, whether they feel that they want to
yeah,
share it. Um, I feel like you can kind of get into, like, the TMI area where when you start to kinda dive in, you're like, "Okay, now we got to a
yeah,
weird place. I
right,
wish I didn't know this." I've
right,
definitely seen that, like, I feel like there's definitely
yeah,
posts and stuff that you see on LinkedIn, you're like,
yeah,
"Whoa, is this meant for LinkedIn? Put it on Facebook." That's why I
right.
don't log into Facebook.
I mean, I've talked about like coaching little league sports, and I've talked about my kids, but it ties to something.
That makes
Um,
sense.
it's it's not just personal for the sake of of being personal.
Yeah. I mean, but so I guess like kind of the lesson here is that you can tie it in, so it brings your storytelling and that sort of thing and your
Yeah.
authenticity, but you don't feel like you're kind of perfect and plastic.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
anybody that comes in contact with me for any extended a period of time, that's obvious too. So that would
Oh,
be a
stop.
brand disconnect.
No. I don't be mean. So, okay. So if someone's building like what are some tips that you would give to somebody that is building their brand? So we kind of talked about like authenticity and things like that. Is there anything else that you've learned about building your brand that you would tell others?
Oh, for sure.
Mhm.
Um, and I do think that authenticity is key.
Mhm.
Um, and it's key on commercial brands or personal brands. People will see through. Yeah, if you say you're one thing and then prove to be something else, you've not only not built equity in your brand, you've actually harmed it.
Mhm.
So it doesn't mean that you're not going to downplay something and accentuate something else, but you've got to be authentic. And behavior, what you do is really what builds that on authenticity or builds that trust. And at the end of the day, I think that's really what a brand is all about is do I trust this brand to deliver what it says it can do, or moreover, do I trust this brand to deliver what I need or what I
Mhm.
want? And then I think we have to show some sort of, especially in branding, we have to show some sort of results or some sort of metric that proves that what we're saying and what we're doing is actually
Yeah.
effective. Um, so and we always want to be clear. And I've been um, uh, if you know the EOS system or whatever, I'm the visionary part of that, and visionaries sometimes aren't very clear. You know,
Yeah.
we you know we know it, but coming out of our mouth or the keyboard isn't as good. So
Right.
being very clear with that message and consistent about what that message is will reinforce that brand. You had a I've listened to several of your podcasts, and your I don't know if he's your partner or your co-host or
My
whatever.
co-founder, yeah.
Okay, your co-founder,
Mhm.
and you guys talked in one episode about consistency and consistency and consistency. We can't jump around like, oh, I want my brand to represent this. I want it to
Mhm.
represent that to these people and these people. We have to be consistent with the message and consistent with what it is that how we're positioning the brand.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it can't evolve over time, but that's over a period of time,
Yeah.
not quickly. So authentic, proof, clear, consistent is what I would say.
Mhm. Yeah. Definitely my co-founder leads in like he's all about the stats. I'm more
Yeah,
kind of about the feelings and more of the abstract and that kind of thing. So but sometimes his thoughts are like you were saying, sometimes come out clearer because I'm like, wow, like all these ideas
yeah,
are coming through my head and I'm like
yeah,
sometimes it's like, did that make sense?
yeah. You know what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I've definitely had that problem where I'm like, "Okay, slow it down.
yeah.
Let's think it out a little bit." But yeah, it can sometimes happen. I've definitely had that happen to me. So so we talked about perfection and you were saying I'm not perfect. So if someone's like freaking out about building their brand because it's not perfect yet, what would your advice be?
Well, so no brand is perfect, and it's always going to evolve. But no piece of content defines exactly you know who you are defines your brand. It's the
Mm,
whole story,
yeah.
and that's why that consistency is important. And you want that story that people tell about you to be the story that they say when you're not in the room, not the story that you say. So
Mm,
it's built over time,
yeah.
and yeah, there is just no such thing as perfection. In a personal brand, it's things are more forgivable, I think, even than a commercial brand or a consumer brand, which I mean, we saw that. I mean, I don't know what the latest one is, but Sydney
So you
Sweeney or
so you think so you but yeah, it seems like Cindy Sweeney's bounced back, but maybe the company had a little harder time bouncing back,
yeah,
would you say?
they did. It wasn't as bad as what we all thought it might.
Yeah,
We all thought it might be, and they probably handled it pretty well. In that instance, they were like, "Yeah, well, we did
yeah,
what we did, and we're standing by it." And that probably backed a lot of people up. It's like, "Oh, they're not going to lay down
yeah.
and go away." But
Why do you think something like that wouldn't stick to the person as much? Is it because that as people we're kind of more forgiving of each other and like kind of like people kind of can misstep? Why do you think?
Sydney Sweeney aside, and American Eagle aside, I do think that as far as personal branding goes, that yes, that there is no expectation of complete perfection.
Mm,
If you talk about an influencer who are, I guess, personal brands for
yeah,
revenue's sake or
right.
whatever, they do have to be more I mean, one misstep there, a bad misstep there can really cost somebody their credibility.
Mhm.
Like, I took $100,000 for this shitty product and recommended it,
Yeah.
and all my followers, found out it was horrible. That's one thing.
Mhm.
But not being perfect. I mean, I'm going to misspeak here half a dozen times, I'm certain, during and I don't really think that people are going to judge me for that, because they're going to understand my intent, and they're
Yeah.
going to, I was at a luncheon today, and it was a big thing. It was a couple thousand people there, and the presenting sponsor was a bank, and the person on stage, that was the chairman of the organization, had this big logo behind him of the bank that was sponsoring it, and was saying the wrong bank,
Oh.
and said it 3 or 4 times. You
Uh-oh.
know, you know, and I think that there
Whoa.
was a script, and the
You
script was
someone would be
wrong,
like
or whatever. Yeah.
like, "Get the
Um,
hook. Bring 'em
but everybody
off."
knew, and then somebody else came up later and said, "Hey, the script was wrong," and whatever. And
Oh, that's hilarious.
I don't think the bank probably has any big challenge with it,
Yeah.
and they'll probably get
Maybe
made
there was
up.
a
But
weird switch
the
at the
audience
end
didn't.
and they mixed up the script because that's strange.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
about it was half an hour later or something when the next speaker came, or
Okay.
whatever. But
That's kinda
but
funny.
I don't. At the end of the day, I mean, like, here we are 5 or 6 hours later. I don't think anybody really looks bad.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a really good lesson because I think a lot of times people are striving for perfection. They're like, oh, I have to have all of these things happen, all these ducks in a row before I launch. And then also, sometimes people are so fixated on each and every post being a Pulitzer Prize winning post. So I think
Right.
I love that you just said no. You're kind of the whole brand is what you're judged on. So I think that's really great advice because a lot of people get very scared and they get stuck in the minutia instead of
Yeah.
the whole picture.
Yeah. And I've been there, and certainly with not my personal brand, but with our company brand. I've been there. My president of our company has a phrase that says, "Sometimes done beats better,"
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I've sort of learned to adopt that. You know, this
And I
piece
don't
of
think that means
content,
it's
or this isn't.
sloppy. I just think that
No, no,
at
no.
some point you just have to go like we've done our best. It's gone through QA and it's just got to go because there's
Yeah,
no more
exactly.
tweaks.
Yeah, yeah. We can spend more time on it, it
Yeah.
might or might not get a smidge better.
It's funny because I actually, with our graphics team, I kind of have a rule. I have a time limit on a lot of the stuff they do because I'm like, the more you sit there and the more gigas and things that I'm going to delete because I'm like, we don't need all that stuff because you were sitting there staring at it too long. And you're like, but what if I add this to it? Like, walk away,
Yeah.
come
Oh, yeah.
back either tomorrow or whatever. And if it's good, like, yeah, like let it go. Let it. Because
Yeah.
I think sometimes you keep trying to change it or add to it and you make it worse.
Yeah. And
It's like
for sure.
cooking, right? If you're sitting there kind of like,
Yeah.
what does it
It's
need
too
and everything?
it's gonna end up too salty at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
you're
right?
like, leave it alone. They consult it at the table if they need to. Yeah, it's worse
Yeah.
to be too salty.
Yeah.
So I this has been a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of great takeaways from this, Tim. And is there so where can someone learn more about you and your company?
So, our company is VI Marketing and Branding, and that's just vimarketingandbranding.com.
And it'll be in the
Uh,
description for everyone, so don't worry.
okay. Um, I I write a column or a blog for our newsletter, and our newsletter has been going out for 20 years.
Oh wow.
It's called the Sixth Sense, and it's actually called the VI Sense, to play off of our name. And I would like people to sign up for that newsletter because basically it's just marketing tips you can use today, and it's a quick read. Even my blog it's 600 or 700 words. It's not long. And our company is on LinkedIn. I personally am on LinkedIn. My company posts that blog and other blogs, and I typically reshare it. My LinkedIn strategy is more about engagement. I engage a lot with other people's content online. Um, I sort of have this thing where I don't like to promote myself very much.
Mm.
I'd rather promote the company, which Samantha, our PR director, is going to slap my hand for even mentioning it. But I like to engage with other people, and I'm a constant learner. But I am on LinkedIn, and
And
then
we'll
our
definitely make
website.
sure all those links that you mentioned, that we get all those and that we put them in the description box.
Okay.
That we'll make sure that that people have the link to your newsletter to sign up as well. Tim, thank you
Okay.
so much for being here. It was a pleasure. A lot of great stuff that we unpacked today. Thank you very much for being
Yeah.
here.
Thank you. You have a great podcast.
Thank you.
I really have enjoyed it.
Thank you. I
So
really appreciate that.
yeah.
And thank you for listening and watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.